Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel and welcome to my July TBR. I feel like it's been a while since I filmed, which because it partly has been. June has been hectic. I think I mentioned that in previous videos and on Twitter and everywhere. But July will be much more chill. I won't be traveling. I have a good feeling about July and I have great ambitions for July. Basically, I sort of scrapped my June TBR. I haven't read as much as I anticipated or hoped to in June, but I'm planning to make that up in July. For this video, I don't have any game. I'm not doing any readathons or read-alongs except for my own. I'm just gonna go with the flow a bit more and I'm very excited about that. So today I'm going to talk about all of the books I need to read for the year-long challenges that I'm doing, and I will also talk about some video plans I have and books I need to read for that. So it will be a very exciting month. So let's start by talking about the books I need to read in July. First off, we have the A Dark Shade of Magic read-along, which I am hosting. The read-along started in June with the first book, so in July I need to read the second book. You are very much welcome to jump in whenever you feel like it. If you have read the first book but not the second book, you can jump in now in July and read the second book with us. There's gonna be a live show, all of that stuff. I will link the Twitter down below. I need to read A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. I'm currently in the middle of the first book and I love it. I love being back in the world. This is a reread for me. This is the series I claim got me back into reading 4 years ago. And rereading the series is like being back home. So I'm very excited to get to this book. Mainly because I remember it as being my favorite in the series. So that will be exciting. If you don't know, A Dark Shade of Magic, this universe is about parallel Londons. So there are 4 Londons that exist in parallel. We have White London, Black London, Red London and Grey London. And all of these Londons have various degrees of magic in them. They exist independently, but there are some people that are able to travel across these different Londons. Amongst them is Kel, our main character. And what Kel does, this is sort of the plot of the first book, but what Kel does is he sometimes, occasionally, smuggles objects across these Londons, which he shouldn't do. And one day he smuggles something that gets him into trouble, and the rest of the series is like the unfolding and aftermath of that. In this one we have a magical competition happening, which is very exciting. This series provides great characters, great writing. It's very thrilling, exciting, quick, a lot of fun. I love the magic system, I love the world, I love the characters. It's so great to be back. So this is my main priority for July. The next book I must get to in July, not because I have like any obligation to read it, but because I'm so freaking excited about this one, is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I pre-ordered this one. It's the Waterstones edition with this gorgeous sprayed edge that says Yellowface in like typewriter font, or actual typewriter like keys, I guess. It's also signed by R.F. Kuang. I love the Poppy War series. I really appreciated Babel, so R.F. Kuang is one of my favorite authors, so of course I had to pick up Yellowface. But as I said, June has been so hectic, so I haven't really had time to read it in June, which is why I'm reading it in July. This is a story about a woman who basically claims the work of another author. She claims it as her own. What I've heard from other people is that the main character is super duper unlikable, which is sort of the entire point of the book. I'm so excited to get into this. It's been everywhere. This is like the book I will pick up ASAP. Now we have tackled what I am most excited to read, what I'm most likely going to read, but then we have my year-long challenges. So for that one we have Globetrotterathon, hosted by Much Ado About Books, my friend Kevin, and for that one, I think I haven't been the best at keeping up with this challenge, but I always try, each month at least. And I believe for July, the prompt is to read a book that somehow relates to East Asia. And for that one, I'm actually gonna count Yellowface, because R.F. Kuang was born in China. Most of her books, all of her books, feature Asian characters, East Asian characters, and yeah, it's a perfect fit. So this is the book I plan on reading for Globetrotterathon in July. Another challenge I'm doing is Buzzwordathon, hosted by Books and Lala, Kayla. The prompt for July is to read a book featuring a weather-related word. I was very perplexed by this one at first, but then I just started to search for random words in my like Goodreads shelf of all my owned books, and I found one. So I plan on reading Magic of Wind and Mist by Cassandra Rose Clark. This is technically a prequel, or is it a sequel? I don't remember where in the story takes place, but it's written chronologically as a sequel. It was written after Magic of Blood and Sea, which is one of my favorite books as well. That book is actually a bind-up of Assassin's Curse and The Pirate's Wish, and I do think this one is also a bind-up, if I'm not mistaken. It's a bind-up of The Wizard's Promise and The Nobleman's Revenge. So it's technically 2 books in one, I'm gonna count it as one though, and it has 2 weather-related words in the title, wind and also mist, so it's a perfect pick. I have had this one for a while, but I have not read it, which I think the main reason for this is because I'm scared, because I love Magic of Blood and Sea so insanely much. I'm very certain, unfortunately, that this one won't live up to the hype, but it's about time I tackle this one as well and read another book in this universe. It's about Hannah, who wants to become a proper witch, but she is unfortunately stuck as an apprentice to a grumpy fisherman. They are on a boat that gets caught in a mysterious storm and blown widely off course. As she tries to get back, she learns there may be more to her apprentice master than she realized. I don't think this will feature the characters from the first book, which makes me sad. But in one way, I can probably consider this as a completely new book. For my 12 books recommended by 12 friends challenge that I'm also doing, I'm considering reading one of these 2 books. I will either read The Book Eaters or Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Both of these have been on previous TBRs for this challenge, and I haven't gotten to them. I think I've read the first 1 or 2 chapters of The Book Eaters, and Daughter of the Moon Goddess is also on my books that will self-destruct, so I'm even more motivated to read this one actually. Either one of these, I'm not certain which one yet. Can't really say much about their plot either, other than the fact that they are fantasies. This is about a family that eat books, I think, and this one is inspired by, once again, I think East Asian mythology or something like that. So it could also work for Globetrotterathon. And those are my main challenges that I'm working throughout the year. Let's chat a bit about what videos I hope to make in July. I think my biggest project for July will be that I will attempt to catch up with the biggest goal of mine for the year, which is to halve my physical TBR. At the start of the year, I counted how many physical books I owned that I still had not yet read, and my aim is to read at least half of those books this year. Obviously, throughout the year, I have purchased books, I have unhauled books, etc., etc., but I'm still aiming for the number that I started the year with. So at the start of the year, I had 128 books on my physical TBR, which means I need to read 64 books throughout the year. I'm keeping track of how my physical books I read, and I know that I have some catching up to do. So what I will be focusing on throughout the entirety of July actually is to catch up to this goal. Because one would think that by the end of June, 6 months into the year, I should have read 32 books then, like half of that half. I haven't done that yet, so I need to catch up, and that's gonna be my aim. My plan is to focus on reading shorter books and more fast-paced books. And also maybe even books that I've started but not yet finished. I am going to do an entire video dedicated to this, so I won't be mentioning all of the books I plan on reading. I think also I will use some sort of random number generator approach to this as well, making it a bit more gamified and exciting. But basically my aim will be to read, I think it's gonna be 10 or 12 books throughout July. Some options I have pulled out. For example, we have Lore Olympus, which is a graphic novel. And I feel like even though this is like a hefty, chunky one, it's a graphic novel. It should be a fairly quick read. So like this, if I were to read this one, I could check another book off. I think this is a Persephone and Hades retelling. It's a contemporary reimagining of one of mythology's best known stories. I also had a look at some of the books I own that are the shortest in page count. We have Leave the World Behind, which is also on my summer TBR actually, so that one would be good to knock out. It's like 230 pages. It's like a quiet sort of thriller-esque book. We have Things We Say in the Dark, which is a, what's it called? Anthology? Is it an anthology? It's a collection of short stories. Let's go with that. It's about 200 pages, short stories, should be fairly fast-paced, although it's horror, and I don't read that much horror. We have Freshwater by Akwaeke Emesi. This one is like 220 pages long, so not long in other words. And I tend to read Akwaeke Emesi's books quite quickly as well. I also pulled out a couple of Colleen Hoover books that I have yet to read, mainly because I think these will be fast-paced. They might not be the shortest books, not that they are long, but I feel like these will be addictive and fast-paced and just really grab me, and I will be able to read them in like 1 or 2 sittings. Maybe. I'm being hopeful. I'm being optimistic. Not certain of what they are about, but from what I know, this one is like a dark romance, thriller-esque, and this one is more pure romance with a lot of toxicity in it. Another thing that I mentioned in my summer TBR is that I hope to read Murder on the Orient Express and also Death on the Nile this summer. And I do want to make a video where I try to solve these mysteries. This is very much, or 100%, inspired by Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin. He has done this for other Agatha Christie books. And the thing is, I've never read these books. I don't think I've really seen the movies in their entirety either. So I actually don't know the plots of this one and like who the murderer is and all of that. I'm actually very excited to make this video happen. The editions that I have are in Swedish, which I still, despite the fact that 95% of the books I read are in English, I still somehow read quicker in Swedish, which partly makes sense because it's my native language, but also like I never read in Swedish anymore. I don't know. I feel like these are gonna be really quick reads for me. So it is a great month to squeeze these books in, especially when I'm doing this challenge of catching up with my physical TBR. And I'm so excited, and I will make another video dedicated to these 2 books. I will try and do it with like the suspect list and like gathering up all the clues and all of that. I'm gonna attempt. We're gonna see how it goes. Another couple of books I pulled out. One of my goals for the year is to read about 1 non-fiction a month. But the thing is, I'm doing fairly good with that, so I don't really feel like I need to put non-fictions on my TBR for each month because I listen to quite a lot of memoirs nowadays. But I still wanted to put up 2 options for a non-fiction in this July TBR as well. And we have either Smoke Is in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doughty. This one is less than 300 pages. This is like a true TBR vet. It's a memoir written by someone who works in a crematory, and it has a lot of reflections about death in it. And another book I'm considering, which is also on my books that will self-destruct later this year, which is why I'm tempted to read it now, that is Factfulness by Hans Rosling, another book written by a Swedish author. It's in Swedish. I feel like I can read it fairly quickly, despite the fact that it's a non-fiction and that it contains a lot of just like facts. And to explain what the book is about, it's 10 reasons why you are wrong about the world and why everything is much better than you believe. That's sort of the pitch for this one. Although this one was released a few years ago and things have drastically changed. So, yeah, it was released back in 2018. Since then, we have had a pandemic and a war. So things have definitely changed. Perhaps it's outdated now. I don't know. That's why I put it on my list at least, because it feels like this one might be outdated. That's my potential TBR for July. Other than these 3 books, my TBR really isn't set in stone at all for July. Which I think will be good, because I need to be able to just pick whatever I feel like, and I also want to focus on these 2 videos instead. I'm very excited to go with the flow and actually try and just knock off books off my physical TBR. That is the aim for July. Please feel free to share what you plan on reading in July. Also let me know if you are joining the read along or not. I'm so excited about it. I love reading these books. I'm having the best time with it. So I would highly recommend this series as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry that the content this last month has been a bit inconsistent, I guess. I haven't been publishing on my usual days and stuff. But I'm hoping to improve and get better in July. And I'm so excited about the content I have planned and the content that is coming up. Please be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye!
You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes